Hello, I'm Colin Bradley. I'm going to show you how to mount and frame a picture using a ready-made frame. And when you buy a ready-made frame, obviously you get the frame, and then you get a piece of glass, like that. Not that you will see that very easily. Glass. And you get an advertising bit, which we don't want. And get the backboard. And usually, in this case, it's a photograph frame which I'm using. It has one of these attached to it. It's like that. Right? Well, I've already taken that off. We don't need that. And I'm going to use the other side anyway, as a backing board. So that's the backing board. So now, how do we start the ball rolling? Well, what you could do here is you could use this. Now, I said I've discarded it, but let's keep it for a minute because that is the side of the mount. So what we need now is a mount card. So I'm going to bring the mount card in and we're going to offer that up to it and cut it out. Now, this is the mount card or board I'm going to use. And the first thing I'm going to do is to measure the actual size of the mount. What I'm going to actually do is measure this because this is the information sheet that was on the front of the ready-made mount. Okay, now we're going to cut the reverse side. As I said, that's black, that's white, so we mark it on the reverse side. And we happen to know that that's 10 by 8. The only thing about that is it's not quite 8, because what they do, they have to make it just slightly smaller so it fits inside the frame. If it was the same size, it wouldn't. So that's 8 by 10. So we can do the same thing. 8, just a tiny bit less. That's it. And 8, tiny bit less. It's about 1 millimeter, in fact. So let's draw that line across there. Okay, we would be fairly accurate with this and be straight, because if you're not, you can throw the mount out. So there, that's the first line. Now, the second line is 10, and we know that the same thing will happen here. If we measure that across, again, that's 10, just slightly less than 10. So let's go. Let's make sure that that is just slightly less than 10. Again, 1 millimeter less than 10. Like that. There, 8 by 10 there, and 10, just less than 10 there. And draw your line. And now we have an 8 by 10. Done. All we'll do is cut it up. So that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, now we need to cut it out. I've got my mat here. This saves the cloth and the bench. So now I could use this rule to cut along, but I prefer my own. So I have to be very careful with this, make it sure it's accurate. Make sure you can see all that as well. Okay, that's fine. And it's not quite. Got to get it right. Make your first line across there so that I don't make any errors. Has that done it? No, one more. Here you are. There, discard that. And then the other way. This is a very old rule. It looks it, doesn't it? I've had it for years and years and years. Done me proud. Once again, first line across there lightly, otherwise you're likely to go wrong. There we are. Done. And now, you bring your picture back, and now we've got to decide our hole. And I'll show you how that works. Now, what we have to decide is how much of this picture we want to show through the mount. So let's have a look. I want to come into the picture a little bit. I've got my signature at the bottom here, which is quite close to the bottom. I've got to be careful. And I think probably I'll use centimetres here. I think that's going to be easier. Now, this measures 18 plus 4. Well, we don't want that. That's 184 millimetres. What I want to do is come in about there. So if I make that 18 plus 2, or 182, that would be about right. So what we do here, do it in the middle. 182, 182. There we go. And I just double check it. 182. That means that I'm going to go in very slightly on the picture, because I don't want to lose much of it. So that's 182. And it's not quite finished yet. So we go the other way. Now we go this way, and we want this time. I want to come in, and it's 134, or 13 plus 4, and then we want to come in a bit more. So if I make that 13 plus 2, or 132 millimetres, that's about right, 132. So there. Okay, 132. Okay, now what's that all about, Cole? Well, what you do now is you look at this measurement here. If you look at that, you see it's 7 centimetres, 7 plus 1 centimetres. But I think what we ought to do is make it 7.1. Yes, just make sure it is 7.1. Half of 7.1 is 3. Now that makes it awkward. So I think what we'll do here is we'll make it 7, which is easy because it's 3.5. That means, okay? So that means we've got to make this 3.5 here. Got it? That's 3.5. All the way round. It'll be 3.5, I hope. Let's just check this though. Yes, it is. Well, that's lucky, isn't it? That's also 7, 3.5, which means we want the edge to be 3.5 centimetres. And I think that will work out, but just to be absolutely sure, I'm going to make that just a little tiny bit more than that, just a fraction. From experience, I know that if I'm under, I'm going to show some of the picture I don't want to see. Now, I'll only do one, and then I can do the rest off camera. So it's just over, just a touch over. Double check it. Always double check to make sure. And that's just over. That's just over. I'm going to say that it's probably there. So I'm going to draw a line across there. That's my first line. And that's going to be 3.5 there, there, and there. All right? And I'm going to do it. And then, once it's done, I'm going to double check it again by putting the picture on. Got it? So leave that to me. I'll do that. And then we'll take it to the next level. Oh, now the big moment. I've got a really solid piece of equipment here, which I've used for many, many years. It's a very heavy stainless steel straight edge. And what I've done, I've measured that to make sure that it's actually right. Okay, now this lovely tool. Now, if you look at this, you see it's got a little mark up here. Well, that mark starts on that line, all right? And it finishes on that line. If you're wise, you go slightly further, like that, just a little. So I'm going to start it just this side of that line. And what you do, let me just show you what it does at the moment. I don't know whether you can actually see that. Can you see that? Yes, you can. Like that. It sticks in like that. And it comes at an angle. And you'll see the beauty of that in a minute. So let's start again. And we press down so you cut right into the mount. Hold this very, very tightly. What you don't want is that to move, because if it does, it's a bit of a problem. And we want to move it along to just the other side of that line there. Right? That, and then bring it back up. Now that should have cut it. We'll find out in a minute. Let's turn around and go the other way. You can see it has. Look. Can you see? Look. See? Like that. Now let's do it again. The one I've had before, the one I showed you first of all, you brought towards you. This one, you push away. Oh, the same difference, really. And once again, this side of that line, got it? Push it in and go along to the other line until you get to there. Bring it up, cut again. And let's come in to make sure. Just check, yes, see, you can just see that it's cut. And the other way. Make sure again you're right on the line. Press down. If I had more room, I haven't got the room here, but I would, because I've got a desk, it is L-shaped, I would push down on that like this, right? But I can't, so same difference. Once again, that side of that line, push down, and to there. Bring it up. One more, and we're nearly there, but you can see it's worked brilliantly. Okay, and down this side here. Okay. And once again, you know what to do now. This side of that line. You go the other side. What you can have a problem with it, and I used to in the old days with that other one. I used to not actually take the corner, so you had to cut it. It's not a problem, but why do it when you don't have to? Once again, press down, cross, and go right up into the end of there. Up. Now, with a bit of luck, as I take that out of there, it drops off. And there's your mount. Let's have a look at it the other way up. Terrific. Now we've got to put the picture in the mount. And just double check it first of all, if it's good. Perfect. So, what do we do here? Well, what we do, this tape is a really good tape. I use it, as you've probably seen me use it many, many times. Cut a piece off, turn it over. Now, this is the way I've always done it, and I find it very useful. You actually attach the picture to it this way up, like that, like that. Okay, that's not very straight, Colin. Let's do it again before we press it down. I'm a bit rusty. I haven't done this for a long time. Let's get it about right. That's about right. That's better. Just be careful not to touch the picture. Okay, and what you do now is go for the mount up. And you've got to get this square as you can do it. That looks about right to me. It's up a little bit, touch a little bit more. That is just a bit over this way a bit. And down that way a little bit. There you go, that's perfect. Press on the mount like that, so what you get is it sticking on the other side. I usually just run the fingernail along there to make sure it's nice. And now I never tape down here. I always just tape at the top. The idea, when you've got a bigger picture and you get a weight, it's best to let it hang that way around. Okay. Now what I've also done here is I've got a piece of card here. Now you don't have to have this, but I think it looks good. Just a little bit of backing, because we're going to put this on in a minute, and it stops the picture back to touching that. But as I say, it's not that important. Now, let's just soften that up. It's about right. Cut it. And then stick it. Make sure it's right. That's all you do. Yep, that looks all right. Ooh. Sticky tapes, sticky stuff. There we are. That's a bit long, but I can cut it off at this end. Makes a nice, neat job of it. So that's that. Now that gives me a flap, which is nice. You see? It's nice and neat. And now we got to put it in the frame. Now, what I've got here is I've got the glass. Before you do that, I've got a microfiber cloth. Say it, Colin. Here. Now remember, this is ready-made frame, so it's been fingered a few times by people. So make sure we've got it nice and clean. Turn it over. Do the other side. And there you go. And just give it a once over. Check it. That looks good to me. And then I put the picture on that, like that. Got it? And so that's stage one. Stage two is to bring this in. Now that's a bit unsightly, so this is where we took the end off. So turn it that way up and put that on there like that. And that is now, turn it over, ready for the frame. So let's bring the frame in. Now you see I've got a couple of holes there, but just before I do that, let me just show you how I did that. I used what we call a Bradle. And the Bradle goes in like that. It goes in like that. It just starts the ball rolling. And in a minute, not yet, but in a minute, I'm going to be putting some little eye holes in there because we're going to put some string across. But let's get this off. First of all, and that just slide in. I've lifted these instead. Look, let me show you. These, I've lifted them up when I took the pictures out of the frame. So you've got to make sure that they are not going to be inhibiting the picture from going into the frame. A little bit of manoeuvring. In the old days, of course, we didn't have, I didn't have ready-made frames, so I used to make them up. And we had a gadget that would bing, 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 bing all the way around. But we haven't got that. We don't have the luxury of that. And then what you do is, I use a screwdriver. It's a good thing to push down like that. And that's what we want. You want to tighten it up like that. Now, there isn't one here. Now, the reason there isn't one here is because that's where the stay went across there. But never mind, that doesn't matter. We've only got one on here as well, look. That's offset. Across there and across there. Now that is nice and sick. Just double check it. Looks good, looks good. Another quick clean. There we are. Come back to the other side. Now to make this nice and neat, let me see if I've got it. Yes, I have. Here we are. Got my little razor blade. What I like to do, just before we put the screws in, I used to come across like this. And again, the neater you can make this, the better presentation you've got. So, you don't have to go this far, but I think it looks nice. Put the tape in. And what I do, I use a razor blade to cut it, like that. From my finger and the edge of the blade, like that. There we are, one. I'll go all the way around and show you. And then you've got to line that up with the other side there. Once you get used to this, it can be very quick. Like that. And again, run your finger on the edge and just take it off. Okay, nearly there now. quite lucid. Normally I'm standing up when I'm doing this, but I'm sitting down to doing it this time, so I'm slight disadvantage. There we go. It's a nice, neat job. Right. Okie dokie. There, how's that? Look good. It's coming the right way up there. Now I've got our little holes here. You find them with your finger. You probably can see that like that. And what you do is you get your two eyes, one in here, screw it in. I do, if that's tight there, I have done it like this before. So that. There we are, that's one. Give it a slight angle like that, so when the string goes, it comes along the top edge. It's only a small thing, but and it's not really that important. And I'll screw this one in. Ready-made frames are not the best wood, although this is actually quite a good wood that I'm using here. There we are, that's fine. And then the string. Now I've already cut the string, so we can put that in there, and then tie it up. Now what I do is this. It's only my way of doing it. You can do it any way you like. I like to put it over there like that, so you get the down to one side. That's it. Tighten it up, double knot. Make sure it's quite tight. And that. Good. That's nice and neat. And just to finish it off again, it's just a finishing touch. If this is a commission and you want to do a good job and presentation, then you can do something like this. A couple of those little. And then from here you go into there and just tighten it up. It saves the string hanging loosely there. Once again, there, and bring it round, and there we are, done. And there we are. There's the finished picture. Fantastic, isn't it? I hope you've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed showing you all the old tricks of the trade that we used to have. And there are, I mean, this is a fairly inexpensive way of doing it, folks, I've got to be honest. Putting it in a ready-made frame, especially if you've got a nice one like this, does look pretty good. I mean, obviously, ideally, a bespoke frame, but this is very, very reasonably priced. And once you've got one of them, and they're on the internet, you're home and dry. Anyway, there we are. One picture framed, and I hope and wish you all the best. Bye for now.